Hi y'all, I'm back. I know it's been a week, but let's dive right into Survivor because it's time to wrap up reality. I'm your host, Tom Vasey. Welcome back to TV Talks with Tom. Well, folks, it's been a while, hasn't it? And I'll tell you what a mess about I've had with my recording equipment. But I'll tell you, it's all ship and shape now. We're all back into the swing, and I've got brand new recording equipment. But enough about that. I'll tell you what's been just as good at Survivor. It's been incredible. We've missed 1 week last week where we saw that crazy tribal council again with Devons saving himself by using the idol. I thought that was brilliant. But we're here to talk about this week, and I'll tell you what an episode it was again. This season is proven to be a really, really good season. I know a lot of fans, when I see on social media, it's split opinion, and it always is with anything, there's people who hate on stuff and there's people who really like stuff. Personally, I prefer the people who like stuff because I just don't like that negativity, but that's just me. Anyway, I would like to say as well, thank you to the massive surge in subscribers. Yes, we have had a surge in subscribers. There's been several more this week, and I really do appreciate that. We're nearly at 60 now, and I really, 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 really am grateful. And you are all legends for subscribing. My subscribers are now going to be known as Tom's Legends, so you're all legends. Thank you very much. I know you're all shouting now. Enough about that, so let's talk about Survivor Edge of Extinction episode 12, also known as Idol or Bust. And wasn't it half idol or bust? What a great show it was, I'll tell you that for sure. And, well, obviously, as I've seen it, and I'm sure you agree, it was a great show. We'll start straight off, Varta, night 31. Okay, so, there's me saying okay, so again, it's my little catchphrase, let's just go with it. Aurora and Victoria were congratulating Devons for they were high-fiving him and hugging him, and they were just saying well done for using that idol. And I thought, bit shady, because they're really sort of gunning to get him out, and then they're going, oh, well done, Devons. A bit snaky, in my opinion, but hey ho. Gavin was feeling quite guilty for blindsiding Ron. He believes that all focus is now on Devon's game now that Ron's gone. We saw War Dog go out, he was a massive player. Then we saw Ron go out, and now we've seen Devons is still in the game. So, Devons, I nearly said Devons went out there, but Devons is still in the game. So, Devons is definitely, in my opinion anyway, the best game player left. So, all attention is on Devons to get him out. Because let's be honest, if he gets to the final three, I don't think anyone stands a chance against him. Maybe someone if they return from Edge of Extinction Ireland, but in my opinion, I think it is Devons who stands the biggest chance out of everyone still left in the game. So Devons tells everyone that the idol came to him from the Edge of Extinction. He said it was a gift, which was anonymous, which ain't the truth, folks. We know that he got his idol. He found it on the island somewhere. He was scouting about and he found it. So well done to Devons for that, and he tried to cover it up by saying it was from the Edge of Extinction. I think that was a sort of It was a little sort of mind game, because I think he wanted people searching out for an idol that wasn't there, because obviously he knew he had the idol, so they'd be going on a wild goose chase, they'd be looking about and just wasting their energy, benefiting Devon's game essentially, so he's got more energy for various challenges that come up. We saw Aurora not feeling as much of an outcast now, because she's in this sort of alliance with Lauren, Gavin and Victoria, so that's a 4 sort of thing now. Then we've got Devons and Julie on the outside. They're not really working together though at this point, so it's definitely, you can see there's a split in the tribe, and you can see where people stand. Aurora in a confessional said that Devons is target number 1. Enough said, let's move on to the next day. We had day 32. So Devons, he got up early. He said early bird catches the worm, or catches the idol, probably. But he got up early to look for an immunity idol. And whilst he's off looking about, everyone else is sat around camp, sort of discussing the worry about Devons, sort of saying, like, we need to get him out next. He has got to go, or we're screwed. Which I completely agree with. I mean, because they'll have to turn on each other if Devons doesn't go. So I thought, wow, Devons again, he's pushing himself to the limit. He knows he's on the bottom and he's fighting for it. He's not giving up. His fighting spirit is second to none. It's excellent, and I really, really respect that. So Devons is looking about for an idol. What shocked me was, I don't understand why when Devons has got, or maybe one person, not just Devons, but in previous episodes as well, when someone goes about the island looking for the idol, how come there's always people just sat around camp not doing anything? I don't know if it's probably the edit, but you don't really sort of see many people bothering to look for an idol. I mean, we know that Lauren's got an idol, and we know that Devons he did get an idol last time, so but he's still looking for one now. So maybe that's why Lauren's not looking as much, but nobody else seems to bother. Which I think is it arrogant? Is it I don't know, or maybe they're sort of playing it cool to make other people think that they've got an idol. Who knows? But we know that who's got an idol and who hasn't got an idol. So Lauren does tell everyone when they're around the campfire. She tells people that Devons is lying about the idol coming from the Edge of Extinction. She doesn't know this, but she's got a gut instinct. She's telling people, I don't believe it. And Lauren did then go to speak to Devons, and he called him out for lying. She was like, you little liar, and stuff like that. And Devons was straight up, cold face. He was like, no, it was a gift. I got it from the Edge of Extinction. And Lauren sort of still didn't believe it. She was doing the Lauren trademark eye roll, which I think is brilliant. Every single time someone says something that's just like, Lauren can just sniff it out, and she just rolls her eyes, which I think is great entertainment. As much as I like Rick, I'm not going to lie, Rick is my favourite left in the game. I think he's brilliant. He's probably one of my favourite players ever. I really, really do love watching him play because he's really entertaining as well, even when he's on rock bottom. So we have Devons in his confessional. He said, I'm going to keep hustling until the end of the game, and right you are, sir, because you are a legend, and you can keep going like that. I think everyone's really trying at this point, and I've got to respect them all for it. Lauren goes back to camp, and Devons continues looking for searching for an idol. So that's again Devons putting in lots of effort. Next, we see Devons giving it a lot of oomph in his confessional. He was getting really emotional. He was sort of saying he really, really wants to bring the money home for his family, and he's this is the final six now, people. He really wants to do himself proud, and he wants to do his family proud as well. So there was this whole emotional thing whilst he continued searching for idols, and then he put his hand in a log, and he found an idol. People, this was amazing. I was so happy. Like, you should have seen my reaction when I saw him get this idol. I was so happy. I shouted out loud. Like I was elated, honestly, because I'm rooting for Devons so much. Don't get me wrong, I do like most of them, but I'm rooting for Devons, and I was so happy when he got that. I was joyous, put it that way, because seriously, if he didn't get the idol, I knew he was going to be going home. So and I think he knew that as well. So well done to Devons for getting the idol. Moving on to the reward challenge now, and I'm going to just go over this quite quickly because there was a lot of game covered in this episode. So I'm going to just skip over this bit quite quickly. So the reward challenge was they had to race out with a ball and throw it up into an overhead track. They had to make their way under some over some ropes and then catch the ball on the other side. They had to do that twice. Then once they got both the balls, dig under a beam, which just dig the sand out, and then they have to land both balls on an overhead perch at the very end. And the first to finish wins the reward. Now, what they're playing for, let me tell you, it's a helicopter tour of the Fijian Islands, and then over to a luxury resort for food such as chicken, pasta, seafood, an open bar, and chocolate mousse for dessert. Straight onto the challenge now. As I said, I'm going to whisk through it, make it quite brief. So we see Gavin, he makes it to the ropes and catches his first ball, closely followed by Aurora. Victoria was the next to catch, followed by Devons. Lauren and Julie, we see, are struggling quite a bit. They haven't got the first ball yet, but then Aurora trips as she's making her way through the ropes, but then she gets a second ball, so she takes the lead. Gavin trips several times on his way through the ropes, and he misses his second ball. So Aurora begins digging through under her beam. Lauren finally catches her first ball. Sorry if this is going quite fast, but I'm keeping it brief, as I said. Julie lands her ball on the track up top, but she fails to catch it on time. Devons catches his second ball. Victoria catches her second ball. Gavin trips again, but he finally manages to catch his second ball. Aurora gets under the beam with her balls and begins throwing them on the perch. Gavin, Devons and Victoria all get under the beam. Julie's on the edge of extinction. Julie and Lauren are still working on the first stage, and nobody's landed on the perch. We keep seeing them dropping the balls constantly. We finally see a breakthrough from Lauren. She catches her second ball and begins digging under the beam. And then we see more success when throwing onto the perch. Gavin lands his first ball. Victoria lands her first ball. And Aurora lands her first ball on the perch. Now, Devons is struggling with this. He hasn't landed any on the perch yet. Gavin lands his second ball just for a slight moment, and then it rolls off. So that didn't happen. But then Gavin lands his second ball again, and it doesn't roll off. So Gavin wins the reward. Well done, Gavin. Very, very well done to you. So Gavin, he has an option on who can join him on his reward. Jeff says you can take 2 people with you to join with you. And in this scenario, as we saw last week with Ron, you can't choose everyone, can you? And no matter who you pick, somebody or several people are going to be annoyed with you for not picking you, but people are very thankful for picking you. So it's a difficult situation to be in. So he picked, well, it's not difficult on the pretenses that he's going to be getting a reward, but it's difficult on the fact that people might be annoyed with him. So we saw Gavin, he picked Victoria first, and then he picked Lauren. So that's the two he's taken with him. And Devons and Julie, they were vocal and they said that they were shocked that Gavin didn't pick Aurora, because Gavin brought up the fact that Victoria hasn't been on the most rewards out of everyone recently or something like that, when that is not the case. I think it's Aurora who hasn't, so I think that was wasn't the best move to do. I think it was a bit, he should have worded it differently if he was going to pick Victoria, or used a different reason for it, because Aurora sort of probably just feels quite left out and she probably feels ignored, so I can understand where she's coming from. So I think that's fair. I think he should have picked Aurora, definitely. She's been doing really, really well in challenges. She might not always win, but she's always doing extremely well, and hats off to her for that. She's a great, great physical player for that. So yeah, on the way back to camp, Aurora, she feels like she doesn't feel good enough to be in the group. She felt safe earlier. She felt like, yes, yeah, this is a breakthrough here. I'm doing really well. I'm in an alliance and people care for me, and she felt good there. And then now she sort of feels like she's at the bottom of the totem pole. She feels like she doesn't care. And what my thoughts were at that point were, hang on, Devons is by himself, Julie was on the wrong side of the blind side, and Aurora, bottom of her alliance. Could this be a potential three-way alliance? Whilst Lauren, Victoria and Gavin go enjoy the reward, I was thinking, could Devons, Julie and Aurora create an alliance in which they could counteract whatever they plan to do at the tribal council that evening? It's luxury time, folks. Let's talk about the reward. We saw them get a helicopter ride to a resort, and Gavin, whilst they were eating some food, Gavin said that the three of them must stick together, and there was agreement. And then Lauren was vocal and said that she thinks Devons has to be the next to go. She was very vocal there. She has been previously. I think everyone really wants Devons to go at this point. Lauren doesn't want to take Julie out yet, even though if Devons does happen to win immunity, or he plays his secret idol that no one knows about, the only one that isn't in their alliance technically is Julie. But Lauren doesn't want to take Julie out, so that's interesting. Back to Varta now, and we're seeing that the reward people have returned, and we also see Victoria reassuring Aurora nothing has changed, because Aurora obviously felt left out there. She didn't want to be out the loop, so Victoria was reassuring her everything's fine. I think that's a great social game from Victoria there. She's getting in there and making the moves when she needs to. Victoria says that the final four is unchangeable, as she wants Devons out next and she wants Julie to be out as ASAP. So she believes that the final four is unchangeable. Could that be something of speaking too fast too soon, of them putting that in the edit? Because I think saying it's unchangeable makes it sound definite, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's, well, I was thinking at that point, really, to say something as bold as it's unchangeable probably means that it's going to be it's going to be changeable. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out there, but it is going to be changeable if someone's going to be as bold to say it's going to be unchangeable. Who wants some Edge of Extinction gossip? Because that's what you're going to get, folks. It's day 32 on the Edge of Extinction, and Eric finds a note and reads it to the group, and it reads, "You have been pushed further than anticipated, and you have withstood the test. This is the letter you wrote to yourself before the game. Find a spot and remind yourself of why you are here." Get your tissues out, folks. It's the emotional letters. Now, letters from yourself, that's interesting. So everyone was reading their letters and they were getting emotional over it. And I think the biggest learning curve out of everything that happened was Reem. She forgave herself and realised that she said, I'm not a loser. She's been fixated in her mind that, I went out first, I'm a loser. That is not the case, Reem. You're a legend. You are a legend. You have stayed on this island for longer than anyone, and that is true survival to me. And she did realise she's not a loser, she is a survivor. So well done, Reem. I'm rooting for you. Very, very well done, and a good way good way to look at it, because I think you're fantastic. Now that Rick has got his hands on an immunity idol, he wants to stir up a bit of trouble and just mess with everyone's heads. So, they're thrown when they come to tribal council. So Devons goes off looking for an idol, and he's hiding in places. The group split up and try and follow him, and I noticed Devons has got his bag with him, so Aurora ain't snooping around his bag anymore. So that's a bonus, I guess, for Devons. Not a bonus for Aurora, but a bonus for Devons. Devons runs off and he's hiding and he's scaring people by jumping out and shouting at people from behind trees. And I just think this guy's entertaining. I mean, some people see it as arrogant, some people see it as cocky. Devons is on rock bottom. People are trying to get him out. Of course he's going to feel good about himself that he's got an idol. And I'll tell you what, if I was in that situation and some people thought they had the better of me, and I'd stood against those odds and really, really fought to stay in the game, I would be confident. I'd want to play with people, because otherwise you come across as quite smug. I see all these comments on social media of people saying, oh yeah, Devons is really, really cocky, he's getting too big for his own boots. What do you want, people? Because if he sat there and didn't have any emotion on his face when it happened, you would call him too smug or something like that. So I think what Devons is doing is entertaining for the public, because I think he's a morning news anchor and he's in his day job, and it's his job to wake people up in a positive frame of mind. And I think I've watched some clips on YouTube of him doing this, and he's fantastic. He's brilliant, and he's super entertaining just as much as he is on the show. And I think we are extremely lucky, and we need to appreciate the fact that Survivor has gave us Mr. Rick Devons. Time for my second favourite part of the show. It's the immunity challenge, folks. Let's go! So, what they have to do is slide a letter tiles down a board, like a shuffleboard sort of thing, into a target, and then they have to use 2 handles to transport these tiles over obstacles, one being a teeter-totter, and I'm calling it a teeter-totter because I know that in America that's what you call it. In the UK we call it a seesaw, but we'll call it a teeter-totter since it's an American show. So they have to go over a teeter-totter, and then they have to use these tiles at the end to solve a 6-word phrase, and the first to finish wins immunity. This phrase is "not living on the edge tonight." I wonder where you came up with that one. So let's talk about this immunity challenge. Straight away, they all begin sliding their tiles down this track, and Lauren gets hers through first. Devons closely follows, then Aurora. So we have Gavin, he finally gets all of his through, and so Lauren begins to pick up her tiles with the handles and makes her way along the obstacle course. She drops her tiles on the teeter-totter. I feel like I shouldn't keep saying teeter-totter. We'll just call it beam, the first beam. So she drops her tiles on the first beam, and then but Gavin, he brings a smaller stack to the first beam, and Aurora has a bigger stack, and then they both manage to make it over. But then Aurora drops her tiles on the second beam, and Devons makes it over the first beam. Gavin drops his on the... This is confusing, isn't it? Gavin drops his on the second beam, and Devons also drops his on the second beam. So we've had no luck so far past the second beam. Lauren gets her first lot of tiles to the end, so she manages to get all over all the beams, so she drops her tiles at the end, and then Gavin gets a little stack to the end as well. Aurora gets hers as well, followed by Victoria, then Julie, then Devon. So that's sort of the order we're looking at. But then again, they're all taking different amounts of tiles, so just because they got there last or first doesn't mean that they're in the lead or last place. Aurora drops hers. She drops a second lot on her way. Gavin gets more tiles to the end, but again, this is just small stacks from Gavin. He's taken about, I'd say about 4 or 5 at a time, so not that many. So he takes a while to... Well, he doesn't take a while, but he's taken a while to sort of get all the tiles there in retrospect of the whole thing, because he's taken small stacks. So then we see everyone picking up their pace now. It's getting more and more intense. Lauren and Victoria both get a large stack to the end. Julie gets more tiles to the end as well. Devons makes his way with his last lot of tiles. So Devons has been taking quite large piles. He manages to get his last pile to the end. And then Gavin and Lauren go back for more tiles because obviously they've been taking smaller stacks. Aurora making her way with a massive stack to the end. And then Devons finally lands his last lot of tiles, as I said earlier, and begins sort of solving them and stuff like that. So then Aurora begins solving as well, followed by Lauren. So we've got a few of them solving. Victoria also starts solving, and Julie begins solving. So everyone's solving at this point, but Gavin is still bringing his last lot of tiles across. Now, I'll remind you all that the answer to the puzzle, the anagram, is "not living on the edge tonight." Everyone was really, really struggling. No one could figure out what it means. And then Jeff dropped some sort of hint where he said, "Who will be safe tonight?" And everyone was like, "Tonight, tonight, tonight." So then they started solving it pretty fast. Devons was onto something, and he definitely certainly was, and he won immunity. Wow, what a turnout for the books. Devons has himself a secret idol, and he's won immunity. So Devons has saved himself from being voted out of tribal council. Looks like plans are going to be changing a lot. So let's head back to camp where we can talk about these plans. So Devons said in his confession note he wants to try and keep Julie in the game because, you know, there's the 4 alliance going on: Aurora, Victoria, Gavin and Lauren, and then Julie and Devons are on the odds. On the outs is the correct turn of phrase. Julie and Devons are on the outs, so then Devons believes if anyone's going to work with him, if anyone that is, it's going to be Julie, so he feels like he should keep her in the game. The 4 alliance was reassuring themselves that Julie is going home because obviously she's the only one that can be voted out that isn't in that alliance. So they thought, yep, Julie's got to go home. Devons and Julie had a little talk and they want to vote Aurora out. And then Julie decided she wants to persuade Lauren to vote Aurora. And then Lauren sort of seemed on board because she realised, hang on, it's probably better to take Julie to the end than Aurora. So because I would say Julie hasn't played such as strong a game as Aurora, so they probably stand a better chance on beating Julie than Aurora. So Lauren also persuades this to Gavin. Lauren was pretty cool about not bringing Victoria into this loop. She sort of just was happy to have it as her and Gavin, and Julie know about it, but we'll see. Gavin then pitched it to Victoria, even though Lauren didn't request him to do that, and then Lauren wasn't not bothered about getting Vic on board, as I said. And Victoria found out about this, and she didn't like that, but she knows that she's tight with Gavin more than anyone. Lauren thinks she's tight with Gavin more than anyone, but I think Gavin did say he's tightest with Victoria, so we'll see how that plays out. Devon's plans to try and turn the four against each other at Tribal Council. He said, I've always got a trick or two up my sleeve, and Mr. Devons, you are certainly correct. You always do, and you never fail to entertain us at Tribal Council. Speaking of which, dun dun dun, it's Tribal Council time, folks. Before we get started, you might have seen it already, you might not have, but it was a great Tribal Council. Just as usual, let's welcome the jury. We had Reem, Chris, Aubrey, Joe, Eric, Julia, David, Kelly Wentworth, War Dog, and Ron. What a massive jury we've got there, folks. Absolutely huge. But they've stood on the edge of extinction, so they deserve it, I suppose, so fair play to them. Right, let's talk about some gameplay. What did Jeff establish? We established that it's Devons and Julie versus everyone else. That's what we got, the vibe straight away. Aurora, Victoria, Gavin and Lauren are vocal in that Devons has played a really good game, and they do want him out. They didn't mess about, they literally said straight up, we want Devons out the game. Devon calls out the four by saying that Aurora is on the out. So this is Devon's plot to try and turn them against each other. He tells Aurora, you can think it's a 4, but really it's a 3 because nobody in that alliance cares for Aurora as much as they do for the others. So that was sort of just trying to get them to turn on each other slightly. Devon says that he's going to use his immunity idol on Julie. He goes, I've got my immunity idol here and I'm going to use it on my friend Julie. And I think he did that to try and take control of the game. He thought, if I use this on Julie, them four are going to turn on each other and take one of their own out. So I was thinking at this point, oh, you legend Devons, you never fail to entertain us and play a brilliant game. So I thought, this is fabulous. But trust me, ladies and gents, it only gets better. The jury absolutely love Devons looking at their reactions. Every single time he does something that's a bold move or something that is got the wow factor, you see the jury, their faces light up and they all their faces are just exclaiming with excitement. Like, you could see the joy from jury completely when Devons was like, I'm going to use this on my friend Julie. And everyone just looked really happy from the jury. However, it was a contradiction on the people who were playing the game, or well, the people who were currently actually not on Extinction Island. They were looking really sort of scared, apart from Devons and Julie. Julie was really thankful and Devons was he was extremely happy that, he's getting the upper hand here. Devons believes that if someone comes back from Extinction Island, that they can work with Devons and Julie, because Gavin stated no matter what happens here, it's going to be, it's going to be 3 versus, he thinks that it's going to be 4 versus 2. But Rick brought up the fact that, if someone comes back from Extinction Island, it's going to be 3 versus 3 because they'll join forces with Devons and Julie. I'm not 100% sure what could happen there because Extinction Island may want to get Rick out since he's a big threat, but they also may realise that this alliance is the strongest one left in the game, so maybe they want to break that one up. They might play both sides potentially. Depends who it is. That's what it boils down to. So then we see them go and cast their votes with worry in their faces. Jeff says, would anybody like to play the idol? And Rick does not use his idol. And I thought, hang on, what's going on here? And I thought, oh wait, reverse psychology. This is what he's done. He's made them think that they can't vote Julie out anymore, so they've all flipped on each other and hence saved themselves and voted someone else out. So I'll read out the votes and we'll see what happens. First vote, Aurora. That's 1 vote, Aurora. Second vote, Julie. That's 1 vote, Julie. Third vote, Aurora. That's 2 votes, Aurora. Fourth vote, Aurora. That's 3 votes, Aurora. Fifth vote, Aurora. That's 4. That's enough. Aurora, you are out of the game. Wow. What can I say? Rick Devons, you played immensely there. Some people say that Rick's taken... he's taking credit for other people's moves, but no, that was Rick. They would have stuck with voting Julie out if Rick hadn't brought up his idol. He managed to keep his own idol and get them to vote out one of their own. So, honestly, that was in my opinion, I'm going to say that was a mastermind move. That was excellent, and Rick deserves to win this game. They've all got positive factors. They've all got negative factors. But this boils down to who's fought the most and who's played the best game. And I think ever since Rick's came back from the Edge of Extinction, he has played a phenomenal game. And he really deserves this prize money now and the title of Sole Survivor. Don't get me wrong, the others have played a great game as well. But I don't think any have played as strong as Mr. Rick Devons. I think he's a legend. Let's just go over the votes. We had the votes for Aurora was Gavin, Victoria and Lauren, so yes, they did turn on their own. And we also had Devons and Julie, and the votes for Julie was from Aurora. So Aurora was quite bitter when she went out. She blamed them for not realising that it was Rick calling their bluff straight away. So she stuck with voting for Julie out. And Aurora was like, "Bye guys, good luck." And she was like, "Make sure you get him out." And then Rick was like, "Still?" And she was like, "Yeah, still." So but I think they're probably good friends now. I noticed on social media they're always liking each other's posts, so they must be good friends. No beef, which is great to see. Right, next time. And now the end is near, and so we face the final curtain. Now that is just a little bit of My Way by Frank Sinatra, because it's the season finale next week and one is going to return from the Edge of Extinction. So there'll be 6 in the game at maximum and it's going to be super exciting to see how it plays out. I'm going to try and make some predictions right now. I believe if Rick Devons gets to the end, he's going to win. I think, but will he get to the end? That's really the question. I think Julie will probably get to the end. I feel as if somebody will just take her along because they know they can beat her. I feel like Lauren, she could get to the end because she's got her idol still, but then again, Rick's got his idol still. It's really hard to play for. Gavin and Victoria, I don't know if I see them getting to the end, but I feel like, I mean, for me, my personal final 3 would be Lauren, Rick, and Julie. But although then again though, we've got to let the Edge of Extinction play into this game, haven't we? So if somebody that I really like from the Edge of Extinction that comes back, or someone that's played a really good game, I would like them to get to the end to stand a chance as well. I'd like to see David return. I think it would be good to see him help out Rick. I'd also like to see Reem return, because Reem, we were robbed of a legend there. She's been on Edge of Extinction for ages. She fought more than anyone on there, and I think she deserves a place back in the game. Kelly Wentworth, she played a phenomenal game. It would be great to see her come back. The War Dog, Aubrey, Ron. There's just so many people who've played such a good game that went out, and I know a lot of people are rooting for Joe. Now, Joe played a good physical game, fender for his tribe, but I've got to say, I don't think he's really done that much in terms of playing a good game this season. Don't get me wrong, I think he's been a great player in other seasons, but I don't really see him as somebody who's played great this season. I feel like others have played better. So out of the returnees, I would like to see either Aubrey, Wentworth, or David return. I like them all. Probably David the most, followed by... I'm not sure. That's difficult, that. But again, most of the people on Extinction Island do deserve a place back in the game because they've played quite well. So I'll round it off there, folks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for nearly 60 subscribers. You are legends, as I say. I'm going to say all the cliche stuff now. Don't forget to share, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz, and I really do appreciate it. I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.